When the relationship with the narcissist ends, no matter who ends it, the survivor is going to experience victim blaming. Now, obviously, the narcissist is going to project onto the victim everything that they did themselves. And this is actually a great way to find out what the narcissist did, because whatever that was, they're going to accuse the victim of doing. Narcs always tell on themselves by doing this. But since the narcissist has been smearing that victim behind their back for months or even years prior to the relationship's demise, it's easier for the narcissist to convince their flying monkeys that their victim is actually their abuser. And it's not only the narcissist and their flying monkeys that participating in blaming the victim. Often survivors of abuse experience victim blaming from friends, family members, and even counselors and therapists. Those who haven't experienced narcissistic abuse and those who don't understand what narcissism is can actually further the abuse by simply not believing the victim. And even those who do believe, they may question the victim, asking things like, "Why did you stay so long? Why didn't you reach out for help? Why didn't you report them? Why didn't you speak up sooner?" Well-meaning friends and even therapists may ask things like, "What attracted you to them in the first place? Why did you ignore the warning signs and red flags? Why talk about it now? It's over and it's in the past. What is it about you that attracted this kind of person into your life? What is it about you that caused you to accept this kind of treatment?" And these type of questions place the accountability on the victim rather than on the abuser. So even though these people may very well be on your side and they're just trying to support you and they're trying to understand, these kind of statements and questions, they're really not helpful, because the survivor is put in the position of explaining their reasons for staying or explaining their reasons for not leaving sooner. They're put in the position of justifying whatever it was they did to survive in the hell they were living with the narcissist. This survivor, who has been over-explaining themselves to the narcissist for years and having their feelings invalidated or having their feelings dismissed for years, is now trying desperately to explain themselves to others. This survivor has endured years of trauma, and many don't realize the extent of that trauma until they're out of the relationship and away from the narcissist. This survivor, who has been blamed for nearly everything by the narcissist, blames themselves anyway once the relationship ends. They second guess everything. After all, they've been conditioned through gaslighting to question themselves and to accept blame. So people who continue to place blame on the victim simply continue the cycle of abuse that was started by the narcissist. If you know someone who is recovering from narcissistic abuse and you want to help them and you want to support them, don't question them on why they stayed or ask any of the questions that I previously mentioned. What that person needs more than anything else is to be heard, to have their feelings validated, to have their emotions validated, and to be believed. It took strength for that victim to leave the abusive relationship with that narcissist, and it took courage for them to speak up about the abuse they endured. It is rare, very rare, that someone will claim to be a victim if they weren't. Being a victim of abuse is embarrassing to the survivor. They feel humiliated. They feel ashamed. So if you want to help, just be there for them. And unless they ask, they're not looking for solutions or advice. They're just looking for understanding. If you are recovering from narcissistic abuse, you need to surround yourself only with those who love and support you. Don't discuss the relationship with anyone who tells you things like, "Well, it takes two to make or break a relationship." That is normally true, but with a narcissist, it's simply not. They destroy relationships all on their own, and you are not to blame for the way they chose to treat you. It was not your fault, and you couldn't have saved that relationship even if you laid yourself out like a doormat for them to wipe their feet on, even if you acquiesced to their every demand, even if you forgave them for their behavior time and again, no matter what, they would have still abused you. It is what they do. If you're in therapy, it's extremely important that you find a therapist who understands narcissism and narcissistic abuse, because many therapists don't. And therefore, the advice they give, which may work very well for normal relationships that ended in a normal way, it is not going to be applicable to the dysfunctional narcissistic relationship. For example, when I was still with the narcissist, I went and spoke with a marriage counselor who gave me what turned out to be pretty bad advice in dealing with my husband. Her recommendation was to stand up to him and let him know his behavior was not acceptable and that I wouldn't allow it. This failed miserably. The first time I stood up for myself, it did seem to work. I was responding to my husband in a way that I hadn't before, and it caught him off guard, because my response to him, instead of my usual response of getting upset or crying or just going silent and going off by myself, instead I remained calm and spoke in a calm but a firm voice. And just like my therapist told me, I said, "Do not raise your voice at me or speak to me that way ever again." This backfired in a big way. Now, he did stop yelling in that moment because my response had surprised him. But within a very short amount of time, days or possibly a couple of weeks, he was yelling and screaming again. And now it was louder. The rages lasted longer. The words he used became more harsh and more hateful. The abuse escalated and it became more intense. Literally, I was punished for speaking up for myself. So imagine wanting to come forward and speak up for yourself when you've only been punished for it. So not only did my counselor's advice not work, it actually made things worse. So be really careful in choosing a therapist. Friends and family who don't understand, or if they ask shaming questions, just don't discuss it with them. Only speak about your experiences to those who validate you and who validate your experience. I actually had a couple of clients ask me if I think about my own experience all the time. After all, I did create a YouTube platform on narcissism and narcissistic abuse, so that's a valid question. And the answer to that is no, I really don't. I share my experiences here because I no longer have to fear repercussions from the ex-narc, and I can honestly speak my truth and tell my story. But more importantly, I do it to help others to know that they are not alone, that someone understands, and to hopefully keep others from going through what I went through, or if they are, to get out. So when I'm not creating this content, I'm out living my life. I'm engaging in self-care. I'm going places and doing things with amazing people, many who have no idea of what I even experienced, many who have no idea that this channel even exists, because that nasty, toxic part of my life is over, and I don't dwell on the past. I spend my time looking for ways to improve and enhance my life, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And I'm grateful for everything I have. I'm grateful I survived. I'm grateful to be the one who got away, because I'm the only one who got away from my ex-narc, the only one who immediately went no contact and stayed no contact, the only one who never went back. And I was able to do that because I had and have a huge support system. I was believed because of the people who know me, and because so many people witnessed the abuse I endured. I realized how fortunate I was to have so much support. And now my goal is to offer support to others, especially others who don't have the support system that I had. It's my way of paying it forward. My highest purpose has always been to help others, to affect the lives of other people in a positive way, to inspire, to help other people improve their lives and find their purpose. For me, it is the ultimate satisfaction. And it is my sincere hope that you find value in this content And that not only does it validate you, but that it elevates you. And if so, please like and subscribe. Share this with others who may benefit from this information. Hey, if you found this channel, you're already a survivor. Whether you're still in the toxic relationship or whether you're healing from it, you have survived. And that was the hardest part. I'd like to see you go from surviving to thriving. Thank you all so much for watching. May you be blessed and highly favored today and every day.